Thank you very much, Kevin. It's the 20th consecutive sellout here in Raleigh-Durham at Carter Finley Stadium as North Carolina State takes on 8-0 top 10 Georgia Tech. You are watching the ACC on ESPN. 56,000 on hand tonight, hoping for some more chaos. Certainly we have seen chaos in this conference already today. It started early, 11 a.m. Central Time in Dallas. SMU handing a stunner to number 10 Miami. Duke, of course, hanging on against Clemson. And just a moment ago, out west, right here on ESPN2, Virginia in a tight one against Cal. Are up to the minute standing. Still, Georgia Tech an opportunity to handle its own destiny with Virginia right behind them, and then a plethora of one-loss teams just to make this a little bit crazier on the first Saturday of November. Hi again, everybody. Matt Schumacher, the 9-year NFL vet. Sam Acho will be joined by Taylor Davis in just a moment. I know you were watching the games all day. What do you make of this Saturday in November?
Well, there's so much chaos. November football is the best kind of football because that's when so many things are decided when it comes to the playoff picture.
No doubt. And certainly Georgia Tech hoping to avoid the stumbling block today against, a resurgent NC State team. They are lucky to have Haynes King running the controls, a legit Heisman contender for Georgia Tech.
Haynes King is playing like a man on a mission. You can see him on your screen. He's locked in, he's dialed in, but he does it in so many ways. You might see him limp a little bit because he loves to run the football, but if he's limping, he's probably only getting stronger. He loves to run people over. He does have an arm as well. You'll see the passing game be effective. So this is a true definition of a dual threat quarterback.
Coming off one of the best performances of his career. 5 touchdowns, nearly 400 yards of offense, no turnovers in a thumping against Syracuse. He's the vet. On the other side, it's the 9-year-old C.J. Bailey. His start of his career without 2 top weapons. We'll hear from Taylor Davis about that on the other side. Go. Nights are a little bit different around here in Raleigh-Durham. They are packed in for NC State Georgia Tech kickoff in just a moment. But first, Taylor Davis with a report on the North Carolina State offense.
Yeah, Matt, huge news. NC State will be without tight end Justin Jolie and the ACC's leading rusher in Hollywood Smothers. Jolie is dealing with a hamstring injury he sustained on that touchdown drive against Pitt last week. Smothers, an ankle injury. Coach Doran told me he didn't practice all week, just isn't quite ready to go. Look for more inside zone from running back Duke Scott. But Matt, it goes without saying, Jolie and Smothers, huge misses for this NC State team.
No question about it. And the top 2 receivers in the passing game in terms of catches this year for the young quarterback C.J. Bailey. Injuries have been such a large part of this 4-4 season for NC State, but that is all out the window. Their coaching staff told us this week, nobody cares who's on the field when you line up and kick it off. And they are lining up against the number 8 team in the country. First time since 2021 a top 10 team comes to Raleigh-Durham. And so without his top 2 weapons on offense, the young quarterback C.J. Bailey takes more of this game on his shoulders.
There's so much excitement around this quarterback. Not only did we talk to the coaching staff, but you turn on the tape, and C.J. Bailey, when he gets hot, he's very hard to stop. You can see it through the air, but one thing that he's grown in his game is his ability to run the football as well. He's a 6'6" frame, so he's got a long frame, but he's become more courageous as a runner.
He will have Duke Scott in the backfield, the redshirt freshman from Stockbridge, Georgia. First play is a pass and a dart complete outside to Noah Rogers for a first down. NC State won the toss, elected to receive. The offense this year, despite the record, Sam, has shown the ability to be very explosive.
I love the confidence. When you win the toss, you say, I want the ball, I'm at home, I want to get points on the board first to show that we are not afraid.
There is Duke Scott running between the tackles, as Taylor Davis told us we would see more of tonight. He is a stout 5'10", 215 pounds.
He's different than Hollywood Smothers. Hollywood Smothers is more of an outside zone, catch the ball out of the backfield type of back. Duke Scott, to your point, Matt, is more compact. So the ball's going to be.
We asked his offensive coordinator, Kurt Roper, to describe him in one word. He said, tough. Makes it 2nd and 1 after a gain of 9. Bailey underneath to Scott. And another stick-moving play with a late flag thrown in for one of our side judges. And it's going to back North Carolina up and get the first down. Penalty on Willie Grimes. Doran told us, look, this season has not been what we expected. Injury's a big part of that. But scared money don't make money. Sam Acho is what he told us. Told his team, nobody expects you to win anyway, so why not go out swinging?
I love the mentality of Dave Doran. He's coached here for a long time. He's a mature type of coach with a mature team. So the whole point of this game is give everything you have. Don't worry about the scoreboard or the rankings.
Second and 16 after the pass interference. Over the middle, caught by Cody Hardy, who expects to get more snaps tonight without Justin Jolie.
Cody Hardy, 6'3", 265. He's not necessarily a receiving tight end, but without Jolie, he has an opportunity to step up. You see the pocket, clean pocket for C.J. Bailey, and places that ball perfectly for Hardy. That's one thing that shows up for C.J. Bailey, extreme amount of touch on the football.
That is Hardy's 3rd reception of the season, and it puts NC State in plus territory. Bailey, a quick throw, goes out to Grimes. Clayton Powell-Lee with some late contact, a little bit of chippiness on the outside.
I love the confidence that this coaching staff is putting in to C.J. Bailey. You see this is going to be tackled a little bit late. But this coaching staff is getting the ball out quickly. That was Omar Daniels on the hit. The coaching staff is getting the ball out quickly. That builds confidence for a young quarterback.
Already 3 completions on this drive for Bailey. Here's Duke Scott. That time wrapped up after no gain. Now this Georgia Tech defense down a couple of players as well. 3 in secondary. No Jai Gilmore, no Ari Harvey. And up front, they're without their starting nose, Matthew Alexander. But they do bring back tonight Akilo Stone, who has missed the last 3 games up front for the Yellow Jackets.
3rd down, 3 or less. They're going empty. So you may want to isolate one of the inside receivers.
Pressure off the edge. Bailey delivered quickly to Dante Daniels. 3rd first down of this opening drive for the Wolfpack.
2nd different tight end that we've seen not named Justin Jolie. Jolie's been out, so other guys have to step up. Dante Daniels, number 87, he's lined up right at number 2. Notice him sit down in the soft spot of the zone. It's hard to play zone on 3rd and 3 or less because there's so many soft spots. Usually you need to play man in a down and distance like that.
Scott cuts it up the middle, runs over a man, carries tacklers inside the 15.
Inside zone run to perfection. You're seeing this play, right? It's really a zone cut. Daniels coming back to do the cut, and Duke Scott, that physicality is showing up on tape. That's one thing that we haven't seen a lot of with a lot of Hollywood Smothers. So now it's almost like a different style of offense from NC State.
They come into this game having lost 4 of their last 5. Quarterback run, Bailey cannot get out of that tackle by Clayton Powell-Lee, their 2nd leading tackler and starting safety. Only win over this stretch against an FCS opponent. You got to go all the way back to September 11th. The last time NC State beat an FBS program, it was Wake Forest.
4 out of their last 5 games they've lost, and that's one thing that's been the hard part about this NC State run.
They bring Will Wilson into the game. He's run the ball 14 times this year. 10 of those have resulted in either a touchdown or a first down. Their short yardage specialist following blockers, and gallops inside the 5, short of the line to gain.
So they can score, they can get a first down without scoring in this position. So looks like Wilson staying in.
Now, getting into the red zone was such an important piece of their offensive preparation this week. Sam, they got into the red zone just once in the last 2 weeks against Pitt and Notre Dame, and now C.J. Bailey comes back in for the 10th play of this opening Wolfpack drive. Two fakes, floated to the end zone. Hardy for a touchdown. You're grinning ear to ear right now after that opening drive.
Scared money don't make money. We heard Dave Doran. He said we cannot be afraid. And that's one thing you love to see. No matter what kind of competitor you are, you have to bring your best. Running backs at home. So defender, you're thinking, okay, I have to stay in the run. But Cody has a tight end. Line up right in that C gap. Block you, delay you, trip, make purpose. And then you find the ends. Cody Hardy is stepping up because he's the next man up.
There's the Taco Bell Live Ma Student Section. Only one student section can claim the title of Live Ma Student Section of the Year. Who will take home the trophy this year? 56,000 plus packed into Carter Finley Stadium tonight for homecoming in Raleigh-Durham. 7-0 lead for NC State after a 10-play 75-yard opening drive went to the house. Returnable for Shane Marshall, but he kneels it in the end zone, and we will see Haynes King, a legit Heisman candidate, and a tough test for NC State's defense as we take a look at tonight's impact players, brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Well, it's going to take a little bit more this week. If you want to not be on Haynes King's Heisman highlight, it's going to be 3 defenders for NC State. Kean Sloan, Sebastian Hartsch, those are 2 of the edge defenders, and then Caden Durham, the inside linebacker, Fordham, excuse me. They want to try to keep everything inside. So the goal is to try and keep everything inside and not let King beat you.
Here's Jamal Haynes. He is wrapped up in the backfield. Kean Sloan, a 2-time All-Mountain West defensive lineman at Utah State, transferring over in the offseason.
He's one of our impact players for a reason. Watch him take on this pulling guard. Kean Sloan is an outside linebacker. This game has to be won, if it's going to be won, by the outside linebackers. Why? Because Georgia Tech loves to pull people and be physical with you. Kean Sloan accepted the contact and was ready for it.
Second and 12. King moving up in the pocket. Hit Jordan Allen for a big gainer. Still going. And finally shoved out of bounds inside the 30.
This is what makes Haynes King different this year. His ability to push the ball downfield. This offense doesn't just want to get 2 or 3 yards of play. They want explosives. And that's one of the explosives that we're seeing. They show you the run, they show you that fake, and they throw the ball downfield. Now is able to keep his balance, stay in bounds, and fight for another 15 or so extra yards.
They are top 10 in the nation in yards per play. That one went for 50, and it sets up first down inside the 30-yard line. King on the keeper, turning the corner. And he is nudged out by Caden Fordham, the leading tackler for NC State.
If you see the ball on the edges of this NC defense, that means they're doing it wrong. You see right here, Haynes King does a little stunt side, then he runs around the corner and finds a first down. The goal of NC defensively has to be to keep everything contained, whereas Haynes King in this offense want to attack you up the middle, attack you on the edges, and attack you downfield.
Had best games of his career last week against Syracuse, nearly 400 yards of offense, no turnovers, and 5 touchdowns. King right up the middle for a touchdown. A very quick response on the opening drive for Georgia Tech.
Haynes King is picking up where he left off last week. 395 yards last week and 5 total touchdowns. We saw a 50-yard pass, and then now about a 10 or so yard rushing touchdown. Look at those pullers. They're blocking on the inside, and then Haynes King just does what he does best. Finds green grass and gets into the end zone.
Aiden Bird makes it a 7-7 game in Raleigh.
Haynes King is truly a dual threat quarterback, but he wants to beat you with any way he possibly can. And so now he uses his blockers, finds the end zone for a touchdown.
Happy Halloween to all of you watching around the country. Sam Macho is a snack fiend. I'm curious, what takes #1 in candy for you?
Dude, I'm not a big candy guy, man.
Come on.
I like Kind bars. I like, you know, I'll do Twix every now and again.
Okay,
but
there you go.
If I get too many, man, it's not a good look for your boy. I'm more salty than sweet.
Got it.
I like fries. But that's not a Halloween thing, is it?
Not quite.
Can't have fries on Halloween.
Matt Schumacher, the former Texas Longhorn, 9-year NFL vet. Sam Macho, Taylor Davis on the sidelines. 7-7 game. After both opening drives went for touchdowns. Here is Colson Fields out of his own end zone and plows out across the 20. Let's take a look at the drive recap. AutoZone, 10 plays, 75 yards on the opening drive of the game for NC State. Again, down their top 2 offensive weapons. No Justin Jolie, no Hollywood Smothers, but Sam Macho, no problem for CJ Bailey and company on the opening drive.
We saw this offense really step up. Cody Hardy, number 44, number 87, Dante Daniels. So people talk about next man up all the time. NC State is living it.
Bailey on play action, checks it down to Duke Scott. That has been one major area of CJ Bailey's progression. Remember last year, had to start 9 games as a true freshman due to an injury to QB1. Such a young player, Sam, just 19 years old, but his poise off the charts.
Well, there's so much, not just the poise, also there's a sense of joy when he plays. We walked through yesterday and he was dancing, joking around. He has such a level of joy to his game.
2nd and 6. Underneath, hit Teddy Hoffman. The only true freshman on offense right now for the North Carolina State team that returned starters on offense. Prior to tonight, they had been isolated from all the injuries that this program has sustained over the course of this season so far.
And now it's another 3rd and 3. Last time we saw Blake Gideon, defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech, play zone. This time it looks a little bit more like man.
Pressure comes. Quick throw over the middle is caught for a first down. Terrell Anderson, who we expect to get more targets tonight without Justin Jolie.
So it is man-to-man defense, but you have to understand down and distance. Terrell Anderson knows that it's only 3 yards he needs to get, so he runs a quick slant inside, and yes, he accepts the contact, but it's still a first down. So needs to be tighter coverage on the back end for Georgia Tech.
Duke Scott on the carry. We thought the running game could be a major key to NC State's success tonight against the Georgia Tech defense that at times has struggled against the run. Gave up over 150 yards on the ground last week to Syracuse.
Absolutely. This defense has struggled for the most part stopping the run, and NC State's trying to exploit that.
And Bailey is somebody who can exploit it. Long strides up the middle at 6'6". Pickup of 21.
That's the maturity that we talked about, the decisiveness. Dave Doran this week said we want to see him make quicker decisions when it comes to running the ball, and this was that. There was a little bit of a lane. Look how open it is on the middle. And then, boom, he decides to take off man-to-man, so everyone's eyes are not on the quarter. Their eyes are on their man. C.J. Bailey sees that and accepts that big-time gain.
Multiple plays already, first quarter of 20 yards or more for the Wolfpack. Somehow, Duke Scott turned that into a positive gain despite feeling contact behind the line of scrimmage.
That's the power. We talked to the coaching staff. They said, man, we haven't coached a guy like Duke Scott with his physicality, with his toughness. That's different than what we've seen before. And so it is the same offense, but there are different plays that are being called based off of the personnel.
Second and 7. Underneath, Hoffman took a shot and made the catch. Gain of 16.
It looks like
the blow by Omar Daniels.
It looks like Georgia Tech is playing a little bit on their heels right now. That was somewhat of a screen and go. You fake the screen, see the pump and fake, and then there were two wheel routes. There was that wheel route right there by Hoffman. There's another route over top. So this is the aggressive style that NC State is playing with, and Georgia Tech is a little bit on their heels trying to catch up.
A 9-for-9 start for C.J. Bailey, nearing 100 yards passing in the first quarter, and that touchdown on the opening drive. First and 10. Bailey floats, hits Daniels near the 5-yard line for a first down.
So Daniels, tight end, and Brady 7, he's going to do what we call like a stop block. He waits. Watch him. He's going to feel like he's blocking, but there's no one there. So they think he's there for the run game. He's not. He's there for the passing game, and the ball is just perfectly laid over by Bailey.
So they're going to send this to review for a potential targeting. We will step aside and clear that up when we return. A 7-7 start in Raleigh. 7-7 ball game in Raleigh. Zachary Toby was potentially going to be called for targeting here, but after the review, Sam, they wiped it off.
So they decided that Dante Daniels in this position is not defenseless anymore, because if he would have been defenseless, there is an indicator leading with the head. There's forcible contact in the head or neck area. But Daniels, once he caught the ball, and the referee's assumption no longer became a defenseless receiver. So no targeting.
Todd Evans, our replay official tonight in Raleigh-Durham. First and goal. Bailey flunked. Corner of the end zone, and wisely got it out of play. His first incompletion of the night.
That's the right play. That was a smart decision by the 19-year-old quarterback, second-year starter. Nothing's there, nothing's open. Don't try to force it. Just throw it away, lift to play the next down.
He has yet to turn it over in his young career in the red zone, and now a flag. False start on NC State.
Offense number 44. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And it's on the tight end, Cody Hardy.
And that's what we're seeing now, the chess game. So now Georgia Tech says, okay, we're going to put some pressure on you. They stemmed late into pretty much a bare front, so 5 guys on the line of scrimmage. Hardy's the end man of the line of scrimmage, so we reacted to that stem. So as much pressure that we've seen from NC State, Georgia Tech can respond with pressure of their own.
Blake Gideon, your former college teammate, first-year defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech. Less than 5 seconds on the play clock. Bailey got it off with 1. Up the middle, he's taken off. He's into the end zone for a touchdown. 11-yard scamper. Wolfpack back on top.
So this play is made by Jalen Grant, number 74. So C.J. Bailey makes the play, but a linebacker's right there to make a tackle. All that Grant does is he gets his paw right on the right side of E.J. Lightsley, number 2, the linebacker. And that little bit of paw was able to free up C.J. Bailey for the touchdown.
His 4th rushing touchdown of the season. Vine sets PAT is good. 14-7 lead for the Wolfpack.
And I want to go back to that. On number 74, Jalen Grant, one of the leaders of the team. This is a designed quarterback draw, a designed run. But Lightsey is spying the quarterback. He's looking at Daniels. Look at Grant just get a little bit of touch, and that's able to just force Lightsey to avoid him. And then CJ Bailey does the rest.
What a start of what has been a very chaotic night of college football. And what a night we have for you coming up Tuesday on ESPN and the all-new ESPN app. For the first time, the Armed Forces Classic features a pair of women's basketball programs. Number 1 UConn, their old Big East rival Louisville. The exclusive reveal of the first CFP Top 25 ranking. And the inaugural men's basketball Dick Vitale invite Texas under first-year head coach Sean Miller and Duke, fresh off a Final Four run from a year ago. Short kick, returnable for Shane Marshall. Takes it out to about the 30. Kevin Connors. Thank you very much, Kevin. After a touchdown drive to take the lead for NC State, Malachi Mosley, last year's Ivy League Player of the Year with a first down game.
Mosley transferred from Penn, and you mentioned Ivy Player of the Year. And he's a different running back than Jamal Haynes. He's more of a slasher, more of a downhill back. Not the biggest back, but man, he loves to turn it on right up the middle.
They go back to him. Taylor Davis, what do you have?
Well, guys, obviously the noise has been at an all-time high around Haynes King, and I asked him this week, hey, how are you dealing with this? He said, it's all about your priorities. It's easy to avoid noise that I don't care about. My goal isn't a Heisman. My goal is to win this one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and win a championship with my team. That's all I care about. And you see that really embodied team-first kind of guy.
Delivers a dart over the middle to Eric Rivers. It was the first AP All-American in FIU football history last year. He's been a big pickup for Georgia Tech.
He hasn't, but I want to go back, Taylor, to your point of Haynes King. We were down on the field watching Haynes King as he warmed up, and man, he was throwing that ball 50 yards in the air with ease, but also passes like that, throwing darts as well. So this is the maturation of Haynes King. He's not just a physical, bulldozing, bruising type of quarterback. No, he's got some touch to his game as well.
He is the reigning National Player of the Week after the 41-16 win over Syracuse. And that run will likely take us to the end of the first quarter. A hot start for NC State, something they needed against a Georgia Tech team that has dominated opponents this season in first quarters. They take a lead into the second frame in Raleigh-Durham.
The end of the first quarter.
As suspected, an offensive slugfest in the opening 15 minutes. NC State with 2 drives and 2 touchdowns. Georgia Tech driving and what they hope will be a game-tying touchdown. Be right back after this. Welcome back to ESPN College Football presented by Prime Time. NC State scoring on both first quarter drives. And coming into the night, Sam Acho, Georgia's defense had only allowed 16 combined first quarter. They give up 14 to an NC State team that dominated time of possession. And now 2nd and 5 for Haynes King and Georgia Tech. A first down run for the Heisman Kent, who Taylor Davis told you about going into last break. He's not concerned with all the Heisman hype and the Heisman. He's the son of a coach. His father, John, a longtime high school Texas coach. And he plays like it, and he speaks like it as well.
Not just anywhere in Texas. That's East Texas, the 903, Longview High School. They love football in East Texas. He's a true football player.
And you know, guys, a lot of players tell me, yeah, I'm avoiding the noise over and over. Haynes King has actually gone the extra mile. He has someone running his social media for him so he can fully disconnect from anything that would put this noise in front of him. I may question other players, but I believe it from Haynes King.
He's feeling the pressure here, takes a shot to the end zone, and it's in and out of the hands of his intended target, Dean Patterson.
Jamel Johnson had outstanding coverage. That ball was perfectly placed, but Jamel Johnson avoids the contact. See the pump fake, but then Jamel Johnson gets his head around. Really, more than anything, that was actually really just a drop.
First third down of the game for Georgia Tech. Haynes over the middle, and it's dropped again inside the 10. It was intent for the true freshman Jordan Allen. And now after a pair of hops, the kick unit comes out for Georgia Tech.
The ball's being placed exactly where it's to be, but that's the second drop we've seen in a row by one of the Georgia Tech receivers. Sometimes the excitement, the being amped up, sometimes you're not ready for a moment like this. So Georgia Tech needs to calm themselves down. The ball's right where it's to be, and just keep on making the plays you're supposed to.
Aiden Burr from 43 yards. Tucks it in the right upright to make it a 4-point game. Good stop for North Carolina State defense. They lead by 4. Boy, did the ACC championship race get a little more chaotic this afternoon as we welcome you back to a ACC night slate between NC State and Georgia Tech. Yellow Jackets, the last undefeated team in the ACC at 8-0. Best start in 59 years. 5-0 in the ACC for the first time in their 43 history as a member this conference. As we take a look at the college ball headlines presented by Harbor Freight. Surprised were you by the Mustangs upset 3 over Miami?
Miami's been up and down this season. They started off very, very hot. As of late, they've been a lot down. So I wasn't always surprised as we watch some of the discipline played by Miami.
Duke.
What has been impressive, though, you're talking about Duke and Darian Mensah, transfer from Tulane. They've been impressive. Still only one loss in conference. But Virginia surviving a scare. This is the third or fourth straight week where it's been close at the end.
And Louisville trailed early against Virginia Tech. Held on to win that game. Wake Forest in action right now against Florida State over on ACC Network, and that is the first sack of the game for either team. It's a loss of 7, and Akilo Stone back for the first time in 4 games with the tackle.
Watch him on the inside, just work, spin move, work. We call that an ice pick. When you finish off that spin move, you're not lazy with your offhand. You use it to pin the offensive lineman, and almost like you're sticking an ice pick in their back. It's kind of graphic, but that's how it works. Akilo Stone with a beautiful pass rush move for the sack.
Not too graphic for Brent Key. More on that in a moment. That run does not go very far. Maybe a gain of 2. Brings up 3rd and long after the tackle by Braden Manley. Brent Key told us last night that his message to the team was about chase dogs and catch dogs when you're hog hunting. And he used some pretty graphic language.
He wanted his team to understand that they're not going to be the hunted, they're going to be the hunter. And you talk to some of the coaching staff, and they were with Georgia Tech, they said, hey man, they have to step into the ring with us. So NC State, they need to understand that we are here. So this team is very locked in.
3rd and long underneath to Colson Fields. Twists ahead, but not nearly enough to move the chains. The punt unit will come out for the Wolfpack.
And now it seems as if the game is starting to settle in just a little bit. I talked with Blake Gideon, the defensive coordinator from Georgia Tech. He said, we know before the game, he said, we know that NC State's going to have a fast start, bring out their best punt. It's a homecoming game. It's a night game. It's a big game. We have to be able to handle that and make a stop. And now you're seeing the Georgia Tech defense start to settle.
Caden Noonkester on for the first punt of the evening. Eric Rivers back deep to receive for Georgia Tech. High but short punt. Rivers sprinting ahead to make the fair catch at the 40. And great starting field position for Georgia Tech. Kevin Connors, what do you have?
Matt, we've got our Chick-fil-A move on the field. Tennessee leading 7-0 and looking for more. But Joey Aguilar is going to get sacked, and Trevor, check out arm Mason Thomas.
And look at the extended stiff arm. He stiff arms this guy for what, about 30 yards down the field. This is good for Oklahoma because midway through the first quarter, Sooners only have 14 total yards on offense.
Matt, the longest fumble return in Oklahoma history.
How about that, Kevin, on a chaotic day of college football? You said it earlier tonight. That is a playoff eliminator type of game. Neyland at night. Here's a pass underneath from Haynes King. Brett Seither running it past midfield and into enemy territory. Gain of 26. You know, Brent Key told us, look, yeah, we know we're number 10 or top 10 in the country. We know we're off to the best start since 1966. None of that stuff is getting to us. He told us, Sam, this is the most fun he's had coaching a football team in 25 years as a head coach. Not just because they're winning, but because of the type of guy they have on this roster.
This team is extremely locked in. People talk a lot about leadership councils, and he has 27 seniors on this team. Every single senior is on that leadership council, mature team.
Haynes King pumps, keeps, runs over a man at the 30, but a nice gain on first down.
Most teams, Matt, most teams, they vote positionally. Okay, well, we're in this position room or that position room. Brent Key said, no, we want our seniors to be the leaders of this entire team. And Haynes King is the one leading that charge. 24 years old, 6th year in college football. Even keel, not too high, not too low. That level-headedness, it permeates throughout the locker room.
Second and 5. King on the keeper. Positive gain makes it 3rd and short. Jackson Vick with the tackle. Well, Brent Key also told us about his veteran quarterback, 24-year-old Haynes King, that he's been a different dude this year, playing on a mission, not for himself, but for this program.
So it's 3rd and short, 3rd and 2, and what Georgia Tech loves to do is they love to essentially run a quarterback counter OY, keep the ball in Haynes King's hands. Now, it depends on the formation. Quarterback under, they don't usually do that. In the past, last week we saw them do a play action for a big game.
Traylon Maddox in the backfield. They pitch it to him with space, lowers the shoulder for a first down. Taylor Davis.
You guys were mentioning the veteran of this team, and it's exactly what I've seen personified down here on the sideline. That last offensive drive wasn't what they're capable of. Sam, you pointed out the drops. They shook it off after about 10 seconds, and that's exactly what the coaches told us. Whether emotions are good or bad, they need to let them go quickly, go back to the board and adjust. They put that on this drive.
Whistles before the snap, and it's out taken by NC State.
Out. NC State. They're first.
We will take timeout with them. Georgia Tech driving, trying to take the lead here in. Georgia Tech trailing 14-10. Haynes King with a rushing touchdown tonight. What else is new? His 13th of the season as we send you to the sideline for TD's point after.
Well, Matt, you often hear Haynes King and toughness as synonyms these days, right? How's this for toughness? When he was a child, it was Christmas, he was roughhousing with his cousin. His left hand got stuck under a treadmill belt. He was rushed to the ER. He was on track to be a left-handed quarterback. His dad, who's a coach, was a little disappointed in it, but he had to learn how to throw right-handed. Said he was in the backyard working on it the next week. I said, did it hurt? He said, heck yeah, it hurt, but I needed to figure out how to overcome it. I asked him if he's still ambidextrous. He said in certain things, but you probably won't see it on the football field.
Taylor, last year he had a torn right labrum, which limited him throwing the football. At that point, he thought about going back lefty. The right arm looks pretty good tonight, though. A delivery to Eric Rivers and a gain of 12 to move the chains.
How great is that? So everything he did as a kid was lefty. Then he gets his arm caught in his treadmill and says, you know what, I'm going to become a right-handed quarterback. And now you still see him throw right, which is so impressive. So the stories of Haynes King, those things are real. The legend continues.
Missed 2 games because of that torn labrum last year. Played through 3 more despite all the pain. healthy this year. Just missed on a pass attempt for J.T. Byrne. Sod Brown in coverage, really testing this NC State secondary, which is down 7 different players. They're without Ronnie Royal tonight. And all year they have been banged up defensively. Last week gave up season high 53 points to Pitt with 9 different players on their 2 deep out due to injuries.
But nobody cares, right? We talked to the coaching staff. They said nobody cares about the injury. We have to be able to perform.
King sifting through tacklers. 3rd down. Brent Key told us this young man is just cut from a different cloth. Credits his father, John King, for a lot of that. The old high school coach. But he told us, Brent Key did, that you won't find another competitor quite like Haynes King.
Brent Key doesn't smile often. But when he started talking about Haynes King, he started to smirk just a little bit because they're cut from that similar cloth. Let's see.
Big 3rd and goal. King under pressure. There was a hold in the back of the end zone, and the flags come in. Rivers got held up by Tristan Teasdale.
Teasdale's a true freshman. You took some of those injuries. He's one of the young guys stepping, but he got caught holding in that situation.
Pass interference, defense number 19. Foul occurred in the end zone by the ball is placed at the 2-yard line. An automatic 1st down.
So he's a true freshman safety lined up on King. That's a tough situation as a true freshman. You know, you can't hold, you can't grab. He started to get lazy at the top of the route. More maturity and more reps will breed more experience, and he'll be ready.
So it makes it 1st and goal. Fake the pitch. King hit, spinning, and he's dropped by Brandon Cleveland, one of just 3 healthy returning starters on this defense for Dave Doran.
This is the play that we talked about. This is that quarterback counter row wide. They'll fake the pitch to try and get everyone out. But what DJ Elliott, defensive coordinator, said is, hey, I'm going to put Ken Sloan on the edge. He's going to attack, and then we'll find ways to slant the line to try to slow down that play. So 3rd and short, 4th and short, or even down in the goal line, expect Ken Sloan, number 8 of NC State, to be at the point of attack.
Carry up the middle. It is stopped. Malachi Hosley stuffed by a plethora of NC State defenders led by Caden Fordham.
We talked about impact players. This game is going to be a physical football game. Caden Fordham's right in the inside, and he sifts and he sees and he attacks Hosley, and he keeps on running his feet. That's textbook when it comes to inside linebacker play. But now it's 3rd down from the 2-yard line. Georgia Tech loves to be physical, but don't be surprised if there's a little bit of a fake and then it turns into a pass on a play like this.
Number 1 red zone offense in the AC. King floats, Yellow Jacket lead. J.T. Byrne. And that quiets this capacity crowd on a homecoming night in Raleigh.
There's the maturity of an offense. So the defense expects a physical run. All of a sudden, J.T. Byrne just touches him just a little bit and gets behind the defense. That's the problem or the trouble with playing Georgia Tech. You think they're going to do one thing, they do something exactly opposite. J.T. Byrne receives the touchdown. Haynes King fakes him out, gets it to the end zone.
Georgia Tech marches down the field and scores to take their first lead of the game, 17-14. Meanwhile, next Saturday, we don't have the noon game yet, but a very fun slate on ABC of the all-new ESPN app, starting at 3:30 Eastern. Ranked showdown, A&M and Missouri. Aggies off to their best start since 1992. Then LSU, new head coach at Alabama. Always a good rivalry matchup, regardless of the records.
I just wonder, Governor's put together a search committee yet for the new coach that he was talking.
You had to go there.
I had to.
All right, let's go look at this week's college football rank brought to you by Chick-fil-A. What jumps out to you?
And those two L's in the top 10. Vanderbilt going down to Texas. That game came down to the 21 unanswered. And then Miami going down at SMU. So these rankings are going to look totally different come Tuesday, not just because it's the committee voting on it, but because two top 10 teams went down.
College Football Selection Committee's first top 25 reveal this Tuesday night. They meet every Monday for the rest of the season, all the way up until after the conference championship games. Last drive resulted in a punt for NC State. This starts on the ground with Duke Scott getting the start tonight in the place of the injured ACC leading rusher Hollywood Smothers. College Game Day announced their location next week. BYU, who was idle this weekend, goes on the road to take on Texas Tech. Game day in Lubbock, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time.
Bear Bachmeier. And no Will Hammond for Texas Tech.
Well, the Big 12 could get shaken up in a big way tonight with Utah playing Cincinnati at home. That's the late game. Here's Noah Rogers with a nice run after the catch to move the chains. Picks up 17.
So this is where Georgia Tech needs to respond. You accepted the first punch from NC State, but now you have to make your adjustments and start responding. We've seen Georgia Tech pretty much either rush 4 or 3. They haven't got too much variety so far, but it makes sense to start changing up the look for a young quarterback in C.J. Bailey.
Just 19 years old, 2-year starter, and an NFL talent in the words of his head coach. Flag comes in into the play.
Holding, offense number 74, 10-yard penalty. His first.
It's on the center, Jalen Grant. It's so rare in today's era of college football to see a 19-year-old starting at quarterback, and on the other side, the 24-year-old Haynes King, a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yeah, I feel like the 24-year-old is more common with the transfer portal and with the COVID year, but man, both these quarterbacks are affecting defenses almost in the same way, both with their arm but also on the ground.
Nice play there. Ball came out. They're going to say it's a fumble. Rolled Georgia Tech ball on the field. I think they're going to have to take a look at this. I'm not sure Rogers had possession.
Fumble recovered by the defense.
Jason Moore, the big D tackle, 6'2", 300, jumped on top of the football.
But what I'm looking at is, was there firm control? So the ball's going to be, it looks like it's going to be caught, but I don't know if there's firm control on this one. You see Rogers just bobbling it the whole way. To me, that looks like an incomplete.
Previous play is under further review.
Does Rogers get firm control of that ball? To me, that doesn't look like it's control. I mean, we're going to look at it again. You could say he's getting that step, but before he's trying to get that first step in the ground. And remember, it has to be clear and obvious for this play to be overturned. So it was rule of fumble. Rule to fumble. Is it clear and obvious that this was not a catch?
I'm not convinced he ever had full possession when he took that first or second step.
What the officials are looking at is, we have what we called. We called a catch and a fumble. We need something clear and something obvious to show that it was not a catch and it was not a fumble. Does he establish possession? Does he make a football move? There's a clear recovery. To me, that ball, it pops out before it's possessed.
It's also so difficult because we're slowing this down to frame by frame versus full speed, which is the way they saw it on the field. And here we go. We're going to hear from Adam
After further
Savoy.
review, the pass was incomplete. It's second down.
Major turn of events there. North Carolina State maintains possession of the football instead of Georgia Tech having it in plus territory, up 3. Remember, NC State won the toss, elected to receive, so the Yellow Jackets will get the football coming out of halftime. 4-man rush. Bailey buying time, takes a shot, and a lot of contact at the end of that play. No flags, and an incomplete pass intended for Noah Rogers.
So C.J. Bailey found Rogers a bit late. To me, that looked like there was a little bit early contact. Noah Rogers is trying to receive the ball, and that contact by Daquan looked a little bit early.
Right there before the ball reached the gloves.
Said it earlier, sometimes when you're watching in slow motion, it's like it looks one way, but to me in real time that looked a little bit early.
The Packer 3 for 4 on third downs in this game. This on 3rd and 20. Bailey with room to run if he wants it. Instead throws, has an open man. It's Anderson. Turns it upfield. Anderson down to the 15. Monster gain to extend the drive. 52-yarder.
I love the decision by C.J. Bailey. So he could have ran the ball, but it wouldn't have been for a first down. It's 3rd and 20. You might have been able to get 10, maybe 15, but he slows down. Then he finds Terrell Anderson deep down the field. The fact that C.J. Bailey started to run, the DBs, their eyes started to go in the backfield. They thought he was going to run for 50 like he did before. So that's a level of maturity from Bailey that's showing up right before our eyes.
Duke Scott following blockers inside the 10.
And just going back to that play briefly, why was that play wide open? Well, for the first time all game, we saw the defense of Georgia Tech bring a blitz. We saw the pressure, and so with that blitz, that means you have one less person in coverage. They brought 5, maybe even 6. That leaves one less person to be back in coverage. So that's part of the reason, in addition to C.J. Bailey and the threat of him using his legs.
Their short yardage specialist, Will Wilson, the freshman from Columbia, South Carolina, where he was Mr. South Carolina football. Comes into the game at the quarterback position with Darius Johnson to his left. Wilson keeps trying to outrun the defense. Wilson leaping for a touchdown.
We talked with Kurt Roper, the offensive coordinator of NC State. He said, hey, when you see 10 in the game, you know what we're going to do.
And you still can't always stop it.
You still can't stop it. Will Wilson did that pretty much all on his own. Noah Rogers was on the edge. He could have been blocking. He wasn't. Maybe he thought the play was supposed to go inside. The play actually was supposed to go inside. He didn't need the block.
I wonder if they're huddling here to discuss whether or not he maintained possession.
A fumble recovered by the offense in the end zone for a touchdown.
That's what the scuttlebutt was about at the end of that play, with Georgia Tech players diving onto the pile.
That's what
seeing the ball, the scuttlebutt.
One more time.
The fracas.
So to me, that's a touchdown. The ball crosses the plane. Kyle Efer does a great job of trying to get the ball out, but they rule fumble, so it doesn't matter either way. But that was a touchdown before a fumble.
I got to be on my P's and Q's next to the Campbell Trophy winner. Sam Acho, what a response by NC State after Georgia Tech just marched down the field and took their first lead of the game.
Well, started with C.J. Wilson getting that ball down the field, and then, C.J. Bailey. Now Will Wilson using his legs once again, number 10. When he gets in the game, usually going to run it. He reaches the ball crosses the plane. There's full control, full possession. So to me, that's a clear and obvious touchdown. But either way, since it's recovered by the offense, they didn't have to go back and see if it was Will Wilson's touchdown or NC State's touchdown.
For 20 years, All-State has celebrated every field goal and extra point made at participating universities by donating to the university's athletic scholarship fund, supporting all student athletes. Thank you, All-State.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
How do you spell scuttlebutt? Because I legit don't know, and I want to use it.
I can't believe you don't know, because you are the smartest person in this booth by a long shot.
Can you tell me how to spell scuttlebutt, please?
I don't know.
Come on, dude. I want to use the word. Language of origin.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Language of origin, definition. One of my buddies won the Scripps National Spelling Bee in fifth grade.
Of course.
Cy Gunturi.
Well, as we've talked about all night on show, it's been a wild day in college football, particularly in the ACC. We saw Miami get upset by SMU. Duke held on against Clemson. Louisville holding on against Virginia Tech. Look at all the one-loss teams stacked up behind Virginia and Georgia Tech.
The ACC seems wide open, but man, Virginia and Georgia Tech still no losses, and whoever wins gets an automatic bid into the college football playoff, wins this conference, excuse me.
Haynes King pumps, now takes off, slices up the middle near the line to gain. And they will move the chains.
So this is the time where Georgia Tech has an opportunity to double up. If they score here, they get the ball coming out of halftime. So they don't need to be in any type of rush. They can take their time, slow down. Under 2 minutes, the clock will stop on first downs and run their typical offense.
There's Jamal Haynes stretching it wide for a gain of 3 or 4. Going back to that graphic, the most bizarre thing is that Virginia, who won today against Cal, is now a one-loss team with 7 wins. Their only loss to NC State, which was not a conference game. It came back in week 3. And Georgia Tech will elect to take this down. 2-minute timeout. All 3 timeouts remaining for Haynes King and Georgia Tech, trying to put together a drive at the end of the half. Thank you very much, Kevin. With the Texas alum, Sam Acho, Taylor Davis on the sideline. Final 2 minutes of the first half. All 3 timeouts for the Yellow Jackets. Passes caught by Allen for a first down.
So one thing we heard from DJ Elliott, the defensive coordinator of NC State, is that they're going to play a lot more man. And what we saw, the reason that play was open is because it was man. And man, oftentimes when you run crossing routes, as a receiver, you can run away from the defender. So if Georgia Tech is seeing man on tape on their iPads, they may start passing the ball a little bit more.
King pulls it out with blockers. First down and more inside the 40. Haynes King with a gain of 13, and another methodical drive taking shape for Georgia Tech, who gets the ball coming out of halftime.
Notice how they're taking their time. They're not in a rush. But one thing I love about this offense is when Haynes King decides to run, everyone blocks. So Brett Seither, the tight end number 80, he did a great job of blocking on the edge to allow Haynes King to get about 5 to 7 extra yards. Anytime this ball is run, whether on the inside or on the edge, every single person on this offense, receivers, tight ends, running backs, they block.
Haynes slips out of one tackle, then is upended on the near sideline by Jackson Vick. The starting nickel playing in a very banged up secondary. Frankly, this entire defense has been banged up. Big reason why they've lost 4 out of their last 5 games. In all 4 of those losses, they trailed at the half. Trying to flip the script tonight against an undefeated Georgia Tech team coming in ranked number 8. King taken down in the backfield. Kane Fordham with the first for the Pack.
So for the most part in this game, it's been sit and watch what Haynes King does. Now you're going to see blitz over and over again.
Georgia Tech, they're first. 30 seconds. Please reset the game clock. Oh, wait.
Caden Fordham and Kenny Soares come around the edge on that blitz, and the best thing that Fordham does is he keeps contained on the quarterback. Haynes King, if he would have seen that on time, he could have escaped, but Fordham goes to what we call the upfield shoulder to keep Haynes King from escaping the pocket.
Third and 15 looming for Haynes King. Caden Fordham, what a story he has been, the alpha of this defense.
One of the leaders of the defense, leaders of the team. He lost a lot of his season last year to injury, coming back this year healthy. And he didn't have his best game last week, but notice how he's backing it up this week. We talk about next man up. Well, it's also a next play and next game mentality.
Top 15 in the nation in tackles. And now nearly 57,000 on their feet for 3rd and 15. Three-man rush. King dumps it down. Not nearly enough for the first to Brett Seither. And now is this decision time for Brent Key?
Timeout. NC State. Their second. 30 seconds. Please reset the game clock to 1 minute.
Well, the Wolfpack are going to try to do something with this final 59 seconds. It'd be about a 54-yard field goal for Brent Key, whose field goal kicker Aiden Burr has hit 55, and that was a fire drill field goal to win the game against Clemson earlier this year.
See Brent Key's trying to figure out, okay, what's this decision? I think you kick it in this situation. You take the points, try to stop NC State going to halftime.
He did tell us that Aiden Burr hit from 64 in scrimmages earlier this season. They will bring him out for a 54-yarder from the left hash. Already 1 for 1 tonight. Kick is away. Burr is wide left. No good. And NC State will get the football with great field position and 1 timeout left in the first half.
Smart use of those timeouts early. Started with the blitz, with the sack, and then another timeout, and then Aiden Burr, who's usually a consistent kicker, wide left.
Just his 2nd miss of the season, both of which have come from 50+. And now Dave Doran's team has a chance to extend the lead.
Well, he was frustrated because there was actually a 12th person on the field, and that person was running off, so it could have been a penalty. Terrell Anderson was back there as if he was going to be maybe a long kick and returning it. But fast forward, CJ Bailey, let's see what he can do.
Ball starts at the 36. Bailey, a quick throw out to Wesley Grimes, trying to get out of bounds, could not. Was tackled inbounds by Zach Toby.
Phenomenal play, smart play by Toby, keeping the clock running.
Bailey going through his progressions, widely throws it away. Taylor Davis.
Well, guys, I don't know if it's translating on the television, but when this place erupts, it is loud down here, and it's a different energy for Georgia Tech. This is just their 2nd night game of the season. They haven't played at night since week 1. At the half, you really feel like they need to bring their own juice a little bit more, Sam.
YOJ, that's what you have to do, when, especially as a defense. People will say, man, pack the defense on the road. That's what they need to do, pack the defense.
3rd and 3. Pressure. Bailey got rid of it. There was contact, and a flag comes in. Rodney Shelley covering Noah Rogers. And that will be the first penalty of the night on the Yellow Jackets. Meanwhile,
Pass interference. Defense number 6. Ball we placed at the spot of the foul. And an automatic first down.
CJ Bailey continuing to limp around after he was brought to the ground 2 plays ago.
Well, we'll start with the pass interference. Noah Rogers does a great job on his stem, and Shelley, you see him hook in the arm. But I think a bigger deal is CJ Bailey. Sometimes you can see he's in a lot of pain, but sometimes adrenaline takes over. I get the pain, but in football, sometimes you don't feel that when the adrenaline starts to pump in.
It's an offense without Justin Jolie tonight, their leading receiver, and without Hollywood Smothers, the ACC leading rusher. Rogers with a catch and a 5-yard gain. Got out of bounds to stop the clock with 25 ticks left.
We haven't seen a lot of field goal attempts from NC State, so I'm expecting NC State to be aggressive. Yes, you have to get out of bounds. You want to get out of bounds. That way the clock stops. If you get a first down, the clock will stop until the change and reset. But I want aggression from NC State.
4-man rush. Bailey over the middle. It's caught. Noah Rogers inside the 20.
This is why people love C.J. Bailey, because the ball placement on that pass. There was a middle safety, he throws it back shoulder essentially to avoid the contact. C.J. Bailey is growing, maturing. Yes, he's only 19 years old, but he had 9 starts last year. Watch where this ball's placed. Doesn't run his receiver right into that middle field safety. He throws it a little bit behind him, Nor Rogers, and keeps him safe.
Well, we've talked so much about the toughness of Haynes King. We're seeing that on display by the young starter for NC State, C.J. Bailey, putting together an excellent drive to end the first half. Takes a shot to the end zone. It is incomplete. Intended for Keenan Jackson. Had hands on it, but just could not corral.
It just seemed like maybe it was like an inch or two too far. Nice placement. Keenan Jackson just barely couldn't hold on to it. That inch or two, people say football's a game of inches. I understand that, hey, if you can touch it, you can catch it. But, man, if you want to get that just a little bit tighter, it'd be a touchdown. So moving forward now, it's 3rd down, but the more important thing is the time. It's all about the end zone for NC State. So Georgia Tech needs to back up, understand that they're trying to attack the end zone. They have a field goal here.
1 timeout left for the Pack. Bailey pumps and now floats it. Out of play with 5 ticks left, now 4, now 3. It wound down all the way down to 3 seconds left in the first half. And this will be their first field goal attempt since week 4 as C.J. Bailey hobbles to the bench. I'm sure Taylor Davis will update us on his status coming out of halftime. Kanoa Vineset from 34. It is good. And NC State extends their lead going into the halftime locker room.
That's the end of the second quarter.
Wow. C.J. Bailey, the young star, was being helped off and now says, let me do it myself. Gingerly jogging into the halftime locker room for an offense that is down Justin Jolie, down Hollywood Smothers, and yet they lead the undefeated number 8 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at halftime.
Matt,
Welcome to the Twisted Tea Halftime Report.
Matt, a developing story there as we welcome you into the Twisted Tea Halftime Report. What a day in the ACC. Virginia-Cal, first ever meeting between the schools. This is Eli Wood from 3 yards.
Yes, and Eli Wood was set up by a drive that was mostly runs. Virginia pounding the ball.
Credit Cal for hanging around behind Kendrick Raphael.
And Cal just wouldn't go away. Virginia's a much better team, but Cal kept on battling.
3rd touchdown of the day for him. But down the stretch, JKS, it's not to be. Cam Robinson, the pick 6 to seal it.
And this is what Virginia's defense does. They scored 2 defensive touchdowns in the win against Louisville. They got basically an almost walk-off safety against Washington State. Virginia's defense has been fantastic.
Meantime, a road test for Carson Beck in Miami. They've got the 1 loss to the resume coming at the hands of Louisville. Today at SMU, under a minute to go, SMU down 2017. A late hit on Kevin Jennings, 15 yards to put SMU in field goal territory where, with 29 seconds to go, Sam Keltner drills it.
And that unnecessary roughness penalty was on 4th and 9. Very good chance Miami could have won the game right there.
Trevor, in OT, interceptions have been Carson Beck's undoing.
He had 4 against Louisville in that loss, and this is in the first overtime. Now SMU knows any score will win.
And first and goal on that ensuing drive, TJ Harden takes it in.
And SMU has only 1 conference loss, just like Miami. They just kept on going and knocked Miami off of their perch.
Rhett Lashley gets the big extension to stay there at SMU this week. They tear down the goalposts. Take a look at the ACC. Georgia Tech in action tonight, losing right now, but unbeaten in conference play. Virginia in the clubhouse, unbeaten in conference play. You've got Pitt, Louisville, SMU, Duke, all 1-loss teams. in conference play. As we welcome you into the Twisted Tea halftime report. BYU national champion Trevor Maddich, Kevin Connors here with you. So I ask you, my friend, who's the best team in the ACC?
This is a tough one, but I'm going to say today it's Pitt. Pitt is the best run defense in the ACC. They're one of the best sacking teams in the ACC. They're the highest scoring offense in the ACC with over 40 points per game, right? So Georgia Tech is undefeated, but their offense is great. Their defense is just average. You know, you look at Virginia, they're winning games by the skin of their teeth and by fantastic defensive plays, scoring points on defense. Don't know how sustainable that is. Today, I think Pitt's the best team.
It's November 1st. We've got a lot of football to play here in the ACC, but things are wide open, including in our game with NC State on top by a touchdown. When we come back, Arch Manning, his best game as a college quarterback. Wait till you see why this game came down to the wire next.
This halftime report is presented by the refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted, and please drink responsibly. Welcome back to the Twisted Tea Halftime Report.
Kevin and Trevor in studio, and essentially an eliminator game in the SEC in Knoxville tonight. What a scene, Oklahoma and Tennessee over on ABC. Early in the first quarter, Trevor, Joey Aguilar and Braylon Staley on the same page.
This is their first drive, but after this, Tennessee moved the ball, but kept on kicking field goals, missing field goals, turning it over.
As we see right here, Joey Aguilar enveloped, and Mason Thomas going the other way.
Yeah, mid-first quarter at this point, Oklahoma only had 14 total yards of offense. They needed this defensive touchdown.
Tight hamstring, tight rope walk acting job by Mason Thomas. 10-10 game right now over on ABC. South Carolina and an Ole Miss team that started the day, number 7 in the nation. Lenora Sellers on the keeper.
Yeah, Lenora Sellers is their best weapon on offense. He is, when he's healthy, he's as tough to stop as anybody in the SEC.
Trevor, we've talked about the evolution of Trinidad Chambliss.
Chambliss has been absolutely fantastic, and this touchdown came on a 2-play drive. The first play was a 43-yard pass to get him down into that position.
His bread and butter, though, is using his feet.
It is. He is so fast. He came from Division II Ferris State as a transfer. He was Ferris State fast coming in, but now we find out he's also SEC fast.
17-14 in the Grove. First game for Billy Gonzalez as the interim coach at Florida following the dismissal of Billy Napier. This is DJ Lagway to Eugene Wilson.
Yeah, that was just a great pump fake that fooled the defense of Florida. Florida's been playing pretty well on defense. That started to break it open.
That was Gunnar Stockton on the touchdown pass. This is the play of the game, 4th and 1. The Gators denied, and Georgia would take over, and Chauncey Bowens would do the rest.
This was their 31st rush. They were under 100 yards until this moment, but with less than 5 minutes to go in the game, Georgia kept pounding on the door until it finally cracked open.
And then a heads-up play here by Stockton.
It was. He could have scored and padded his own stats, but he knew that the best thing to do was take a knee right there so that they wouldn't have a chance of giving the ball back to Florida.
24-20, the Dogs get to 7-1. Meantime, Arch Manning in concussion protocol all week. Not only got the start, you love the way they started the game. Here to Ryan Wingo.
This is the second play of the game. Completed 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And if you've got a quarterback that's been banged up and concussed the week before, as Arch was, this is a great way to help him out.
He just looked much more comfortable in the pocket this week.
He did. And in the first half, he threw a lot of short passes. In the second half, he started to go farther downfield.
Well, in the second half is where Diego Pavia started getting things going for Vanderbilt. That made 34-16 game. This makes it a 10-point game. Eli Stowers.
Right, and with less than 4 minutes to go after this busted coverage, and Vandy down 10 points, just had a chance to run the clock out, and they put after 4 plays.
And they gave it back to Pavia, who found Richie Hoskins, and now it's a 34-31 game. And then Vandy, the onside kick, and you can't ask for more other than recovering it.
Oh, and how puckered up are Texas fans right now. That was almost recovered. But then another Vandy player reached out and tried to grab it, ended up knocking it out of bounds.
Steve Sarkisian and the Horns survive 34-31.
You told us your quarterback, Arch Manning, needed to play his best ball in November. Why and how do you think he's playing his best right now?
Well, first of all, we're always going to make things interesting around here, I guess. Nice to make it a little easier, but I just thought Arch played a great game. You know, he got through his reads, he was checking the ball down, he took advantage throws when we were there. Just played really in command football, and that's what it takes, you know. And he's been growing and getting better all year, and this was his best game.
All right, so a lot of different angles here to this game. You see what Vanderbilt did there in the fourth quarter, 21 unanswered points. They dominated the yardage situation, 7 more plays than Texas ran. Trevor, the other side of the coin is it's a win for the Horns, and it's Arch's best day as a college quarterback. In the context of the college football playoff, how do you view Texas?
I'm worried about Texas because of something that's very difficult to fix midseason, and that is the offensive line and their pass protection and their running game. The offensive line and the running backs of Texas have one of the lowest yards per carry in the SEC. Arch is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the SEC, and that's one of the reasons he got so banged up. Arch has been walking barefoot through broken glass to help carry this team's arm, even as he's been growing, even as he's been making mistakes. That's why he got concussed last week. And so I think fixing the offensive line is difficult. They'll have to game plan around what they must anticipate as an offensive line that's not ready to really compete against the best defenses.
And they'll see the best defenses. They still got to play Georgia, still got to play Texas A&M. C.J. Bailey has been the story of this first half. Touchdown run here. The Wolfpack a 7-point lead at the break.
Impossible. We love that word. It's a challenge to explore the unknown, to sculpt the skylines, to map the human mind, and propel humanity to the edges of Earth. At Georgia Tech, we are determined to forge a better tomorrow because the world is counting on us. Yet possible, it's not just a challenge, it's calling.
This halftime report presented by the refreshing taste Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted and please drink responsibly.
It was not a masterpiece. In fact, it was a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and then Jeremiah Love broke free for the Irish.
Part of the reason it was such a rock fight of a game was that BC held Jeremiah Love to 42 yards for the game, except for this big play.
Notre Dame's 6th consecutive win by double digits. They're now 6-2 following the 0-2 start. Your second half is coming up next.
ESPN College Football Prime by Geico. Homecoming crowd, 56,000 plus, treated to a dandy of a first half. 24-17 lead for NC State, largely driven by the exceptional play of their sophomore quarterback, C.J. Bailey.
C.J. Bailey shows the quick decision-making to use his legs and get to the end zone. There's also a big-time run, but some of that may be slowed down because here towards the end of the half, he got rolled up. He limped off the field, tried to get a little bit of help. He said, no, I'm going to try and jog off the field. So we'll be keeping our eye out on C.J. Bailey as this half continues.
Bailey, 16 of 22 in the first half with a touchdown and 215 yards passing. He also had a rushing touchdown and averaged 7 yards per carry. It's become a bigger part of his game as the season has unfolded, and tonight even more so without Hollywood Smothers, the ACC leading rusher, without Justin Jolie, this team's leading receiver. Georgia Tech will receive the football to start the second half. And moments ago, Taylor Davis caught up with NC State head coach Dave Doran.
Well, Coach, we saw C.J. Bailey get banged up at the end of the half. Any update on his status?
He's good to go.
Okay, awesome. The offense has been able to run the ball effectively, move the ball downfield against their defense. Continue that in the second half.
Just got to keep it up. Yeah, we've done a good job of being balanced. We're taking shots. We're getting completions on Duke's running really hard. The guy fighting for him.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Meanwhile, on that last kickoff, an injured NC State player. Boy, their fan base has grown weary of hearing that statement. Injured Wolfpack player. They have been injury riddled this year, now on both sides of the football. Well, let's take a look at tonight's game track, brought to you by Coca-Cola. The wily vet and the young star. Haynes King, a Heisman Trophy contender, and C.J. Bailey hopes to be that one day, Sam Acho.
And Haynes King will have his Heisman moment if they are able to overcome NC State down at halftime. These are the opportunities that you live for. C.J. Bailey, on the other hand, is really trying to build his resume. So two quarterbacks at two different stages in their career, but both with a big opportunity to make a splash.
Malachi Hosley, the Ivy League Player of the Year, lined up in the backfield with Haynes King. And a pre-snap penalty.
False start. Offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Taylor Davis made the point before the end of the first half that this is just Georgia Tech's second night game of the season. The first, all the way back in week 1 at Colorado. They won that game by 7. This environment is maybe unlike anything they have seen so far this year. A sold-out Carter Finley Stadium. Haynes King, tackled by Travali Price, got back to the original line of scrimmage.
Think about halftime adjustments. What would Brent Key tell his team? What would offensive coordinator Buster Faulkner tell his offense? And it seems as if they're saying, hey, let's attack the edge. We've been winning inside. We haven't got on the edge as much. So I expect more side-to-side runs from this offense.
King underneath. It's Jordan Allen. And the freshman, with his third catch of the night, has over 60 yards receiving. Was such a big piece in the absence of Malik Rutherford, who is available tonight, though we have not seen him much.
Talk about Carter Finley at night. You see that crowd. That might be part of the reason that it's so hard to win in an environment like this.
3rd down and 4. Pressure floated over the top, and it is caught for a first down by Hosley. Great concentration by the former Penn star.
So we talked about the man-to-man defense. Well, Malachi Hosley is a little bit wide. He's a fast human being. And so right there, you see Kean Sloan, number 8. He's thinking, man, should I have peeled? And then Caden Fordham, number 1. He's like, dude, I'm lined up so far inside. That's the trouble with man-to-man defense. The response to man is, I'm going to release my running backs wide and see if you can cover them as a linebacker.
King with time to throw. Underneath, caught again. This time it's Luke Harpring. And he is upended near the 25.
I love the adjustments that we're seeing, the chess match that's going on. NC State is showing man, and so you do a little bit of misdirection. Let's see how aligned you are. Will you cover your guys? Harpring, you saw, he blocked for a little bit and went back across the line of scrimmage. Now we're seeing a lot of man beaters. I wonder if NC State's going to try to play more zone to try and slow down these man beaters.
First and 10. King to the outside. What is the trouble, Sam, with playing zone against an offense like Georgia Tech?
Well, the problem with playing zone is that when Georgia Tech loves to pull offensive linemen. And so if you're in zone, it's hard to remember, okay, which gap am I in? Am I in this gap? Am I in that gap? Am I covering this guy? Am I covering that guy? When it's man-to-man, everyone knows exactly where their gap is because their gap is off of a certain man. So if I'm man-to-man on the tight end, I know, okay, well, I'm going to be right inside. I have that gap. That's why they want to play man.
Particularly with guys playing out of position with all the injuries that they've had this year on that side of the ball, as King rumbles ahead for another first down. 3rd leading rusher in the ACC, leads the conference in rushing touchdowns with 13. He is the only quarterback in the country averaging at least 200 yards passing per game and 90 or more rushing per game.
And not turning the ball over either. Only one 1 interception so far this season, 20 total touchdowns. So he's getting the ball either in the end zone, his receiver's hands, or back to his offense.
That 1 turnover came on the 3rd snap of the season for Haynes King at Colorado. This is up the middle. And it's Jamal Haynes, the 3rd-year starting running back, near the first down marker, maybe 3 or 4 yards short.
So see, that's man-to-man. So people are running all that motion. Georgia Tech loves to motion. So everyone's running and they know where their gap is. What's going to happen is you play a little bit tighter if you're NC State. Georgia Tech's going to try to attack this man-to-man defense, run prop routes and different types of throwbacks, man beaters. NC State has to stay in man because they're not comfortable at trying to play zone against all ball pullers.
Haynes King flips it out wide, near the end zone, stopped short. Luke Harpering again. You will not find 2 teams in the ACC that use their tight ends more than the 2 on the field tonight, and we've seen multiple for Georgia Tech so far in this game.
It almost doesn't matter who the tight end is for Georgia Tech. Harpering right here, you see him. They ran this play last week.
Haynes on the rush. Brought down by Wolfpack, number 52, Charles Wallace.
Comeback victories, not an uncommon thing for the Yellow Jackets this year. They have trailed in 6 of their 8 victories to start the season. Last remaining undefeated team in the ACC, and coming into the night, the best chance to make the CFP out of this conference. King plunging forward, and based on the spot, he'll be short of the goal line. 3rd down.
They're testing your mental makeup. That's what Georgia Tech does. They line up in the same formations and run pretty much the same plays and see if you're tough enough to stop it. So that's the first part. But then the second part is they test for discipline. They line up in those formations. They show you run, then they go to the pass. We saw this earlier in the game. They got it down here in the red zone. They faked the run and threw it over the top to a tight end. I don't know if you even need to do that in this situation at Georgia Tech. I think you just stay physical like you have.
King is stopped short. Wow. 4th and goal from inside the 1.
Well, there's no question here. Inside the 1, you go for it. You're Brent Key, you're Georgia Tech. This is why you practice. This is why you practice hard. This is why you put on pads throughout the week. This is why you put on pads in the preseason. You practice these situations all the time offensively. Defensively is the same thing. You live for moments like this. You see number 8, Kean Sloan, he's in the backfield. See guys jumping on piles. This is what you live for as a defensive player. This is what you rep for as an offensive player.
That's going to be a false start. Right side of that line moved early for Georgia Tech.
False start. Offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
The right tackle, Malachi Carney, with his 2nd false start of the game.
So now they're bringing on Aiden Burr and the field goal team. Different situation. You are no longer inside the 1. It's a 5-yard penalty, so the math changes.
Boy, what a major shift and a win for North Carolina State if they get off the field allowing just a field goal, given where the football was on 1st and goal. Burr 2 for 2 tonight. This from 23. And he splits the uprights. So Georgia Tech, after the false start on the goal line, has to settle for a field goal. And Brent Key's Yellow Jackets trail by 4. Back in Raleigh-Durham, C.J. Bailey rallying the troops as we went to our last commercial break. His team up 4, trying to hand Georgia Tech its 1st loss of the season. Yellow Jackets off to their best start in ACC play in their 43 years as a member of this conference. Trailing by 4 with 8:10 to play in the 3rd. Matt Schumacher, the 9-year NFL vet, Sam Acho Taylor Davis with you as well tonight, and we've not seen CJ Bailey yet since he hobbled into the halftime locker room after a sack late in the first half. Your thoughts on his situation?
I'm just wondering how warm he is. He was on the sideline the entire time, so is he staying warm, and now he's going to get that adrenaline, and I'm wondering what happened at halftime. How's he able to get back healthy?
Well, he was exceptional in the first half. 16 of 22 with 215 yards passing. A rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. Here's a carry on first down to Duke Scott. In the race. Scott inside 20. And he is 10 down at the 5. And a flag comes in late. Biggest play of the game, Pack. ...66-yard run.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense number 23. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
For the backup running back in for Hollywood Smothers.
He just gets downhill. Everyone on that offensive line, including the tight ends,
was committed by number 6.
do a great job, what we call body on body. Just stay on your man, then a face mask to boot. This is how Georgia Tech started last week's game for Syracuse. Gave up a big-time run, and now they're starting the half in the same way.
Darius Johnson now in the backfield after the big run. Here's Bailey running it up the middle, crunched. Check that, it was Wilson. Their short yardage specialist stopped short of the goal line.
They may not put Bailey going up in the middle like that. You see somebody running up in all the noise, that's usually going to be Wilson. And Wilson, I'd expect him to stay in the game and for them to run the exact same play.
NC State has been outscored 29-0 in the third quarter in their last 2 games against Pitt and Notre Dame. Their woes in the third quarter extend far beyond that, having lost 4 out of their last 5. On the doorstep here of extending the lead in the third, it's Wilson, and he is in for a touchdown. Kanoa Vineset makes it an 11-point game in favor of the Wolfpack.
Will Wilson, the true freshman, Mr. Football from South Carolina, getting into the end zone just like he did in high school.
Certainly one team that was in the driver's seat coming into the night, 8th-ranked Georgia Tech, unbeaten until this point. They trail NC State on the road by 11. Matt Schumacher, Sam Acho, Taylor Davis with you on a homecoming Saturday night in Raleigh. And after the first drive of the second half for NC State went the distance, they will boot it away. Marshall muffed the kick and somehow got across the 15. Well, it's almost time for the first college football playoff rankings release. November 4th on ESPN. Time for Sam's playoff prediction.
Yes, this is it. This is what it looks like so far. Georgia Tech, they're 9 right now. Things could change. We saw things change with Miami. They were in my top 10 or top 12. Also with Vanderbilt. And also look at Virginia. Virginia keeps on winning. For me, I have them as the 10th-ranked team. Texas Tech right behind them. That first team out is Notre Dame because the 5 highest-ranked conference champions have to get in. Memphis would be the 5th.
There's Haynes King going to take a shot on play action. Has Rivers in stride. Rivers with one man to beat. And he is taken out of bounds at the 15 by Brian Nelson. Whoa!
The weakness of the NC State team is their defensive backs. There's a play action, a little bit of a half roll, man-to-man defense, no middle field safety, and Rivers does the rest. So this is that punch, counter punch. NC State punch with Duke Scott. The counter punch has been attacking man-to-man.
68-yard gain. And that time King with a loss on the play. Well, fans, don't forget to go to ESPN.com/Allstate Playoff Predictor to check out your team's chances to make the college football playoff. Coming into the night, out of the ACC, Georgia Tech with the best chance to make the CFP. Obviously, a win tonight crucial to maintaining that status. A loss certainly shakes things up. On a day that has already seen so much chaos. King underneath. Rivers caught it, though it was behind him. And it brings up third down. I beg your pardon, that was Zion Taylor with the catch.
It's almost like who's gonna bend first? NC State has stayed in man. Period. Georgia Tech has said, all right, if we're going to stay in man, I'll keep on attacking it. But with an 11-point lead, NC State has no real reason to make any adjustments.
Pressure comes. King end zone. Overshot his intended target, Jordan Allen. And now does Brent Key bring on the field goal unit? He will for the fourth time tonight. The Yellow Jackets will have to settle for a field goal. A team that has been #1 in the ACC in the red zone this year.
People talk about red zone efficiency or red zone offense or red zone defense. Yes, it's positive to get points if you're Georgia Tech, but this is a win for NC State when it comes to red zone. They gave up a huge, but they're holding Georgia Tech to field goals, not touchdowns.
He has made 2, missed 1. And that is right down the middle from 29 yards. 31-23. Dave Doran's team trying to pull off the upset of the night in Raleigh. ESPN College Football Primetime is presented by Geico. Welcome back to Raleigh-Durham. A 31-23 lead for NC State. Homecoming crowd, 56,000 plus, some dressed up like hot dogs. Are you a ketchup or a mustard guy?
Oh, I'm ketchup all day. Mustard is for the week.
Oh, wow.
My son likes mustard, though. I don't like it.
So you're going to hear it from him when you get home.
Yeah,
short kick, returnable for Colson Fields. He's out across the 20 and stuck hard. And that will bring NC State on for their second drive of the second half. Haven't seen a ton from C.J. Bailey, Taylor, who went down late in that first half with an apparent ankle.
Yeah, team catch up, by the way. C.J. Bailey down here on the sideline. I've been watching how his mannerisms have been. Guys, he's definitely in a lot of pain. He spends time on the bench trying to kind of stay loose and stay involved with the iPad, but when he stands up, he has a substantial limp. He's unable to jog much. 83 rushing yards against Georgia Tech in this matchup last year. It's a huge piece of his game, like you pointed out, Matt.
He had 3 rushing touchdowns in that game as well. A 1-point loss in Atlanta. The good news, Taylor, is that he's had the services of Duke Scott playing in place of the injured Hollywood Smothers.
And he has been so impressive, Matt. This NC State sideline has been electric. But after a drive, Duke Scott is the first one back on the bench in front of the iPad. He has been to himself. He has been very methodically watching the iPad, seeing what he can do better, really taking this opportunity without Hollywood Smothers in this game.
Probably the biggest start of his career coming against a top 10 team. He redshirted last year. Still very young. There's Noah Rogers, who's had a nice night. A first down catch, his 5th of the game, and it goes for 14 yards.
What I love, even Taylor, what you're saying is it seems like everyone is picking up the slack around C.J. Bailey. They know that he's injured. They know that he's fighting through it. And so whether it's Duke Scott or some of the receivers, the offensive line, they're saying, hey, man, you've picked us up all season. We're going to pick you up now.
Absolutely.
Injuries have been the story in Raleigh this year for the Wolfpack on both sides of the football. Scott again for a gain of 5. Meanwhile, tomorrow on Sunday NFL Countdown, before the Chiefs battle the Bills, Alex Smith goes all access with Patrick Mahomes on the art of the off-platform throw. Plus, a report from Detroit before J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings
For an injury to a defensive player.
take on the Lions. And you got mossed. Randy's catch of the week. NFL Sunday Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. That is Braden Manley down. And remember, he was the player that pressured C.J. Bailey when Bailey went down with the ankle.
Set the play clock to 46. Thank you.
Let's check in with Kevin Connors. Kev.
All right, Matt, the Capital One rewarding performance turned in by Chauncey Bowen. The longest run of the day, Trevor, carried 36 yards.
Yes, this is late in the game, less than 5 minutes ago. It's their 30th run. They have less than 100 yards up to this point on the ground. They kept pounding at the door, and they finally broke through.
Matt, the Dogs get to 7-1, still have to face, among others, Texas and Georgia Tech.
Well, that was an impressive win. They trailed for a lot of that game. Avoid the upset, avoid the misstep, which we've seen multiple teams have so far today, Kevin. Meanwhile, 2nd and 6 for Bailey. Long throw is broken up and well defended. That time on the back end by Kelvin Hill.
Tight coverage by Hill. Great job playing the ball. I want to go back to that first play. That first run by Duke Scott allows you to be in a 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6 pretty much is an obvious passing situation, but you don't have to throw it deep. So right now we're seeing Georgia Tech have a lot of people at the line. I expect some of those guys to drop out.
3rd and 6. Bailey backing up, evading pressure. Wide open man. Teddy Hoffman. Touchdown! 55 yards to the house.
C.J. Bailey's got a little bit of Houdini in him, a little bit of magician. Watch the ball. He puts that ball behind his back when the pressure comes. That little sidestep. And we saw Georgia Tech for the first time all game. Everyone at the line of scrimmage, an obvious busted coverage, an obvious mistake. But that's what happens when you're a little bit off balance. You have a quarterback who's beating you both ways. And then he's like, made you look. And Teddy Hoffman, the true freshman who's had to step up this season, who hasn't had an opportunity to step up this season all season long, comes up with another big play for NC State.
He has a touchdown in back-to-back weeks, Sam. C.J. Bailey celebrating, though hobbled. You talked about his demeanor, his energy. Injury and all, you won't ever see him lose the smile on his face that lights up the football operations building on a daily basis in Raleigh-Durham.
He's 19 years old, and he's a captain of the football team. To me, to be a 19-year-old captain says something. I understand you're the quarterback, but we talked with Dave Doran at their walkthrough yesterday, and he said that there's been a new sense of maturity to him. As a freshman last year, he couldn't really call people out. He was always kind of the happy-go-lucky, jovial guy. He still has that happy-go-lucky, jovial joy to him, but now he also challenges and pushes his teammates. So he's becoming more of a complete leader.
He is the youngest captain in the Dave Doran era, which spans 13 years. Our Monday, Week 9 NFL football matchup, Cardinals-Cowboys, plus Peyton and Eli on ESPN2. Monday Night Football, 8 p.m. Eastern. Cardinals are without Kyler Murray, which means the former North Carolina State starter, 2 years, top 10 in both passing yards and touchdowns. Jacoby Brissett gets the start.
Well, they might be with Kyler Murray and just making a decision to start Jacoby Brissett, another leader for former NC State.
Here's a flip to Allen. Has a lane. Makes another man miss. Allen dragged down inside the 45 after a run of 33 yards.
This is the second immediate response we've seen to a big-time NC State touchdown from Georgia Tech. What we said at the beginning of half, they're going to start attacking the edges, not the inside anymore. Misdirection hurts man-to-man defense because you're always in chase mode. You're always trying to catch up. So that's what we're seeing. Georgia Tech says, hey, I know you're not going to change. Let's see if you can stop us man-to-man. The problem is, Georgia Tech, if they score, they have to get a stop somehow. They haven't been able to stop NC State when NC State's been on offense.
Over 800 combined yards of offense so far tonight. Still a quarter to play. Haynes King with time, now flushed by Price. Well, that was a dangerous throw as Haynes King is a little slow to get up at midfield.
So that's supposed to be a man beater, but the middle field safety stayed deep, and there was a post route that wasn't able to be made. And so Trevally Price, number 13, is going to get that pressure. Haynes King's looking towards the middle. Post safety is there. So that's that adjustment. They're not changing. NC State isn't changing what they're doing, but they're just trying to play their technique just a little bit better.
And they're getting home at times against a team that has allowed just 4 sacks this year, Sam Acho. 2nd and 10. King, well, he had a little hitch before that throw, and it's wide and incomplete.
So I said they didn't change. That time they changed. This is the first time I've seen all game NC State play zone. That's where that hitch came from, because if it's a zone, you're not running anymore. You have to sit down in the zone. So Haynes King didn't know if his tight end was going to sit down in the zone. And now we're seeing the crowd at Carter Finley noise.
Five on the play. Jet sweep. Goes to Hosley. Has the first down. Caden Fordham with the stop. Otherwise, that could have gone a lot further for the former Penn Quaker.
Kenny Soares, number 33, is in man-to-man on Hosley. And Hosley says, I'm going to take your ankles. I'll borrow them for a little bit, Soares. Take a seat, and I'll get that first down.
Well, he is an electrifying ball carrier. And in the words of Buster Faulkner, his offensive coordinator, a different human with the ball in his hands. Extends the drive after a 3rd and 10. Fake the jet sweep. King with blockers, stiff arm, and is taken down inside the 10. Gain of 23.
So the edges, boom, inside. That's what we're seeing. Everyone's attacking the edge, and Haynes King keeps it on the quarterback keeper, makes the right read, makes somebody miss, and nearly gets into the end zone.
His 5th game of 100 yards rushing or more. Only non-Service Academy quarterback in the country with that type of statistic. 1st and goal. Haynes with a gain of 3 or 4. Tackled by Kenny Soares inside the 5. Each time NC State has scored, Georgia Tech has responded, though they've done so more with field goals tonight than touchdowns.
That's been the difference. Remember, early in the 3rd quarter, Georgia Tech had the ball at the 1-yard line. 4th and 1, false start. They get backed up, field goal. That's a 4-point swing. Last series,
fake it to Haynes. It's King in for a touchdown. His 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. And he draws Georgia Tech closer still.
He plays like he's a quarterback, but he has vision like a running back. If you just watch him as he moves, yes, he's a QB, but his vision is different. Haynes King is going to have a one-on-one opportunity with linebacker Caden Fordham in the hole, and the vision as a running back, boom, cut back, lower the shoulder, and Fordham thinks that King is going one way, and King just ever so subtly and slightly cuts back, gets skinny, and finds the end zone.
Well, with that
Georgia
touchdown,
Tech 27 is now 46. 27 is 46.
Haynes King just became the all-time leader for touchdowns responsible for at Georgia Tech with 84, passing Joe Hamilton, the former Heisman runner-up in 1999, who was the quarterback of Brent Key during his 4 years as a starter on the offensive line for the Ramblin' Wreck.
If anybody understands the culture of Georgia Tech, it's Brent Key, and Haynes King is carrying that culture as he carries himself into the record books.
Brings them back to within one score after trailing by 15. Their second largest deficit of the season. We thought this had the chance, Sam Acho, to be the matchup of two dynamic quarterbacks, a young star and a Heisman hopeful. It's delivered so far tonight.
Absolutely. Haynes King has responded. That first touchdown, you saw him putting his hands down, talking about everybody chill, calm down. CJ Bailey is not just leading himself, but leading his team. But this drive means everything. It's been punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch. Georgia Tech needs a stop to get back into this game.
Three wide receivers out to the right. Bailey will sprint that way. As an open man in the flat, it is Grimes, the vet of this wide receiver room. We go to the fourth. 8-point lead for NC State. With CFP hopeful Georgia Tech on the ropes with 1 quarter to play.
Work in Raleigh, Georgia Tech trailing 38-30. Brent Key joins me now. Coach, a one-possession game as we begin the fourth. Your team was just huddled around you. What's the message?
We got to win the game. Play the fourth quarter. We've been here before. We know what to do. We've got to get some stops on defense. We've got to make sure when we get down in the red zone, we continue to get touchdowns there. It's a good football game. Let's go win.
Thanks for the time.
They have trailed in 6 of their 8 games to this point. And they have won all 8. The last undefeated team in the ACC. As we enter the fourth quarter, Matt Schumacher, Taylor Davis, Sam Acho with you. CJ Bailey has been phenomenal. Biggest start of his young career. Just a sophomore, a 19-year-old captain. And he has lived up to the moment tonight.
It's been a back and forth game. Both teams have had big plays all game long.
Bailey sets up the screen. Underneath it goes to Dante Daniels, who's gotten more run tonight in place of the injured Justin Jolie.
So their star tight end, Justin Jolie, is out. Their star running back, Hollywood Smothers, for NC State, is out. CJ Bailey got injured at the end of the first half, so he's been limping just a bit. But Duke Scott has been, as a running back, has been one of the answers. Dante Daniels, number 87 at tight end, has been that next man up. So this NC State offense is replacing a lot of injured players.
Over 300 yards passing tonight for CJ Bailey. Here is Duke Scott, makes one man miss and is stacked up after a gain of 3. Clayton Powell leaves in there for the Yellow Jackets. Look, this is a Yellow Jackets team that all year has just been adopted. Sam Acho, 27 seniors, 16 fourth-year players in their starting 22. They have been here before.
They're an experienced team, but these are the moments that you live for. Down by 8 if you're Georgia Tech. Playoff hopes on the line. Top 10 team. And NC State, same way. Nothing to lose.
CJ Bailey checks it down to Scott. He is wrapped up near the line to gain. Might have gotten enough with that extra effort, and they will move the chains. You said it, nothing to lose. Dave Doran told us his message to the team tonight. Scared money don't make money.
And look at it. There are so many guys who are injured. And every other person has stepped up. He said, cut it loose. Don't even worry. You can't be reserved. And that's how the NC State team is playing. Georgia Tech, on the other hand, defense has struggled.
Duke Scott following blockers. And he continues to push ahead on this Georgia Tech defense that has given up big gains on the ground tonight, Taylor Davis.
Well, Matt, Georgia Tech linebacker Kyle Eford told me this week a huge point of emphasis for the defense was the fourth quarter. He told me it's been our worst quarter all season. They've given up the most points in the fourth quarter alone. They had to reiterate that just now on the sideline, saying we cannot lose this here. It's a different story when your undefeated record is on the line, Matt.
The 3-year starter, back-to-back leading tackle Kyle Eford was in on the stop on that last play. Here's Scott shedding a tackle. Eford did bring on, but not after a first down.
So God is taking it to them. There's no hesitation, no doubt. Outside zone play, he gets downhill. He's a one-cut runner. Kyle Eifert, who's one of the best linebackers in college football, just gets ran over.
Colson Fields now spelling Duke Scott, who's rushed the ball 15 times tonight, averaging nearly 10 yards a carry. Here's Fields, that time stopped just behind the line of scrimmage.
And this is when Georgia Tech defensively has to be able to bow up. You heard it from Taylor Davis, who also heard it from Kyle Eifert. This is the time, if you want to be a championship team, where you have to bow up. Brent Key talked about getting touchdowns instead of field goals for his offense. Well, the defense has to be able to hold NC State to a field goal here.
4 field goal attempts tonight for the Yellow Jackets. Bailey underneath. What a catch despite the pop by Noah Rogers, who has been a star tonight at the wide receiver position. His 6th catch to lead the team.
This is how you start. It's 3rd down, 3rd and 5. You've seen a little bit of NC State not necessarily being in this position. Usually it's been 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, low red zone. I expect a pass to the flat.
They are 5 for 7 on 3rd downs tonight. Pressure comes. Bailey with time. Oh, and a drop in what could have been a 1st down grab by Terrell Anderson. And instead it's 4th and 5.
There's your stop. Sometimes you just gotta do your job and hope something happens favor. Terrell Anderson's wide open. There's a little bit of a miss time, and he takes his eyes off the football. He starts to look ahead to see who's he's going to try to make miss instead of doing the football first, instead of looking it in first.
So Kanoa Vineset comes on for a 37-yarder. Trying to extend the lead back to 11. From the left hash, Vineset tucks it in. The lead is 11. 9:46 to go. Undefeated Georgia Tech on the ropes. Nearly 57,000 on hand tonight in Raleigh-Durham. First time that NC State has hosted a top 10 team at home since 2021 when they upset the Clemson Tigers 27-21. A thriller. Currently leading the number 8 in the country by 11 with 9:46 to play. What a night it's been tonight of college football. Night we have for you on Tuesday night. For the first time ever, the Armed Forces Classic will feature 2 women's hoops teams, UConn, defending champs, and a top 20 Louisville team. Then we'll also have the first CFP top 25 reveal. That's at 8 Eastern time. And then Texas and Duke will square off in the inaugural Dick Vitale Classic. Haynes King trying to lead a comeback. Swarmed and crunched behind the line of scrimmage.
Timeout.
Looks like Kenny Soares is down, number 33 for NC State.
There was a direct snap from Jamal Haynes to Haynes King, and Kenny Soares was at the bottom of that pileup. This is a linebacker room that's down 5 players right now, including their captain and honorable mention all ACC linebacker from last year, Sean Brown. Ripping that right wrist.
Kenny Soares, a transfer from Northwestern, has been a big addition to this defense. Sebastian Harsh transferred in as well from Wyoming, number 54. Ian Sloan transferred in from Utah State, number 8. So that core linebackers, including number 1, Kate Fordham, they're the ones trying to contain Haynes King.
which has been a tall order tonight. 186 yards passing and 100 yards on the ground. Another Heisman-like performance for the fifth-year senior. Long throw, might have gotten batted at the line of scrimmage. It was behind his intended target and incomplete.
The second time we've seen zones. We talked about how much they want to play man. DJ Elliott, defensive coordinator, said they want to play man. But now we're in 3rd and 11 in the 4th quarter. And this crowd is into it.
King will take off, and he's taken down in the backfield. Kean Sloan with the stop. And for the first time tonight, Georgia Tech will punt.
Last time we called an NC State game, Kean Sloan, we described him as an X-Man. We said he's everywhere. He's like the Nightcrawler. Look at him on this inside move. He's fighting, he's pulling, he's pressing, he's stretching. Relentless effort from Kean Sloan.
I see what you did there. Nightcrawler on a Halloween weekend. It's been a scary weekend for ranked teams. Number 8 and undefeated Georgia Tech, trailing by 11. On the road, and there is a flag down late at about the 35-yard line.
Holding, receiving team number 36. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down, time out on the field.
So that will back up NC State inside their own 30, where they will start their next drive with C.J. Bailey and an 11-point lead. Back in Raleigh, 41-30 lead for the Wolfpack, whose star defensively tonight and maybe all year has been Kean Sloan. Remember back week 2, they had Virginia at home on the ropes. He had this pick at the end of the game with Virginia driving late to seal the deal in a 4-point win. Still the only loss of the year for the Cavaliers. And then this, Sam Acho, on the last drive for Georgia Tech to force a punt.
Whenever you need a play to be made for NC State, it seems as if number 8, Kean Sloan, is just always there. That play you saw, there were about 10 or so seconds left in the game, maybe even less. That was the last play of the game to give Virginia their only loss. And then that critical 3rd down stop to cause Georgia Tech to punt. Now it's on the offense for NC State to try to get first downs, and defense for Georgia Tech must get a stop.
There's Duke Scott, a career night, over 145 yards rushing. The young man who has backed up all season, the ACC leading rusher, Hollywood Smothers.
See how he's falling forward, though? Every time he touches it, he's not going backwards. He's either missing a big play or falling forward. The defense for Georgia Tech has to be able to know that 2 things are happening. Number 1, NC State is going to go slow. But number 2, you have to keep them from falling forward for first down. So maybe you can, if you want to get the ball back, straight away, we have to be a little bit back.
2nd and 4. Pressure off the edge. Scott ran into it, but kept churning those legs and falling forward. After the tackle by Cayman Spalding will make it very short to go to move the chains.
If I'm NC State on this possession, it's 3rd and 2. You think run, right? I think pass. I think show the run, have Duke Scott in the backfield, fake it to Scott and throw something maybe to the flat. Georgia Tech has to understand that this may not be automatic run. So you have to play a little bit tighter. You cannot play zone. I think you should play man. And every one of these corners has to be tight to their receiver.
Yellow Jackets showing pressure. They bring it. They will pass. Bailey, the long throw is caught for a first down. Guess who? Noah Rogers.
There's that decision making. We've seen him be able to float the ball over, but now you see the speed, the velocity on the run with a bum ankle, and then Noah Rogers, number 5, rising up to the occasion.
Well, all season long, C.J. Bailey has been a top 3 quarterback in the ACC. Pass yards, touchdowns, efficiency and completion percentage, All of those and more have been on display tonight. And Scott just continues to run hard and tough into the teeth of this Georgia Tech defense.
Teeth, but not that sharp. That's the problem with this Georgia Tech defense. They haven't been able to stop the run. That's been one of the weaknesses of this defense. So if I'm NC State, I'm saying, okay, first and second down, I can run it. Georgia Tech, if you're the defensive coordinator, you might have to say, okay, I must bring pressure because we're not winning at the point of attack. Their offense is falling forward, and we are going backwards.
2-score game, less than 6 minutes to play. Time now not on Georgia Tech's side here. Bailey had the ball tipped, somehow still caught, and another first down. Wesley Grimes.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I didn't love the decision to pass it. That was an RPO, so run-pass option. So he made the right decision based off the play call. But that was tipped by number 44, Kyle Leaford. Defense usually says tips and overthrows, got to get those. Wesley Grimes says, I'll take that with one hand and give you a first down.
And now Brent Key is going to call a timeout here. Trying to get ahead of the clock,
30 seconds.
Given the fact that they are down 2 scores. C.J. Bailey, hobbled and all, delivering a performance for the record books tonight against Georgia Tech. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Homecoming out, 25th consecutive sellout, and the student section preparing for a potential field rush with their team up 41-30 over undefeated number 8 Georgia Tech, off to their best start in 59 years. 2nd and 7 after the timeout by Brent Key. There is Scott. Twisting past tacklers. Does Key burn another timeout here?
Timeout.
He will.
Georgia Tech, their second. 30 seconds.
Well, coming up after Wake Forest and Florida State on the ACC network. Who saw that one coming, by the way? The ACC Huddle Final Score crew will have a complete wrap-up of our game and the whole day. Highlights, analysis, interviews with players and coaches. Also available on the all-new ESPN app. We've already seen one top 10 team in this conference go down today, Sam Acho. It was at 11 a.m. local in Dallas. And now the nightcap, another top 10 team on life support.
Hey, you talk Florida State 42-7. That is surprising. I will say, very surprising.
Boy, this league is in the midst of chaos right now. Coming into the day, Georgia Tech controlling its own destiny, 5-0, atop the league, and with a win tonight could have gone a half game up on Virginia, who remains undefeated in league play after their win against Cal. Big 3rd and 4 with one timeout left for Georgia Tech. Bailey will pass. Escapes pressure. Bailey with his legs, upended with a first down. What a night for the 19-year-old.
The bravery of C.J. Bailey to sacrifice his body for his team. We know he's banged up. He injured his ankle, got rolled up at the end of the first half. He limped into the locker room at halftime. And now he hurdles over a player for a first down.
His first run of the second half since that ankle injury to extend the game, to extend the drive rather. And now this from Duke Scott, touchdown Pack. To put the game on ice. 21 carries, 192 yards in a career night for Duke Scott, playing in place of the injured Hollywood Smothers.
Duke Scott just sees it. That's the backside. The play's supposed to go to the other side, but he has the vision to cut back. The 5'10", 5-pound running back from Stockbridge, Georgia, has the speed, the endurance, and the mental. We talk about next man up. This is running back. Running back number 2 is putting numbers like this versus a top 10 team.
Over 1,000 yards of offense tonight between these teams. 580 for NC State, including 240 yards on the ground. Here's Shane Marshall, and he has crashed down ahead of his own 25. This is the first meeting between these two programs with either team ranked in the top 10 since 2002. That year, the Wolfpack came into the matchup 9-0 and ranked number 10 in the country. The Yellow Jackets were 5-3 at the time. The Yellow Jackets came to Raleigh and derailed the Wolfpack's perfect season with a 24-17 win that started a 3-game skid for North Carolina State. 23 years later, almost to the day, Sam Acho, the Pack are flipping the script on a homecoming Saturday night.
They still need a finish. What we're going to see is Georgia Tech's going to go into hurry-up mode. They're going to try to get out of bounds. The clock is still running. We're not inside 2 minutes.
Just one timeout left for Haynes King, the Heisman hopeful.
Sebastian Harsh, number 54, on the side move, got his hands up to the flat. They bring a lot of pressure. This defense line has been relentless in this second half.
Incomplete, but a flag down behind the play with Haynes King on his backside. Trey Thomas with the hit for NC State.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 4, 15-yard penalty, and an automatic first down.
It's what we call a text game. The tackle goes in first, that's 54, and Trey Thomas, number 4, comes in. They're calling that a high hit to the quarterback. The head and neck area is protected. So if you're in the quarterback, it has to be not too high or not too low. Now they're reviewing it for targeting.
We've had one review tonight for targeting. It was ultimately not confirmed on the Georgia Tech side, and now NC State.
So quarterback in a passing posture is considered defenseless, and Haynes King is in a passing posture, so he is defenseless. They're looking for an indicator. Does Thomas lead with his head? He does. And then the third piece is there a forcible contact to the head or neck area? There is. So with those 3 things intact, this play is actually going to be targeting. Defensive player, there's an indicator leading with the head, and then there's forcible contact. Those reviews tell me that all 3 are in place, and that will be targeting on Trey Thomas.
Regardless, with the personal foul, a first down for Georgia Tech, and now it's a matter of whether or not Trey Thomas will stay in the ball game for NC State. Up 48-30 with 3:31 to play.
After further review, personal foul, targeting, defense number 4. He is disqualified.
So with 3:31 to go, Trey Thomas will be eliminated from this game.
And he'll miss the first half of their next game. It's another loss. And that game's versus Miami.
On a defense that really, frankly, cannot afford to lose any more players. They are out 9 to 10 guys on the 2 deep with injuries right now. And now to your point, they'll be without Trey Thomas in the first half against the Miami Hurricanes next week. Here's King underneath, caught for a first down and more. Isaiah Canyon with his first catch of the game. Georgia Tech 8-0 for now. The remaining schedule favorable. However, they do have a date with the Georgia Bulldogs. We move to 7-1 with a win today against Florida.
And a date with a Pitt team that hasn't lost since they got their new quarterback, freshman Mason Heinschel.
Their chances coming into the day. The best amongst the ACC, Sam Acho, to make the college football playoff. With this loss, those chances diminish a little bit, but there's still a path there.
There is a path there, especially to make the championship game. But I go to that Pitt game because Pitt offensively is a juggernaut with Cade Bell, their offensive coordinator, and also Mason Heinschel. So the defense of Georgia Tech is going to have to be better by then. And then that Georgia game is another huge. To your point, if they beat Georgia, then they'll still be in the conversation for an at-large bid. Let's say they're not able to make the ACC championship game, but those 2 games would be huge.
They will join 4 other ACC teams with 1 loss, dropping this game today against NC State. Chaos ensuing across the conference today, particularly with Miami, a top 10 team, already losing to SMU. Third and 2. King, first down, extends the drive.
So they still need to hurry up. The clock's not going to stop on a first down. It's not within 2 minutes. They're still in hurry-up mode. So the goal here, of course, score a touchdown, kick an onside kick, do it fast.
Looking end zone here. Floats it to the corner. It is caught. Was he in bounds? Yes! Zion Taylor with an acrobatic touchdown catch of 16 yards. And they will keep the offense on the field to go for 2.
Perfectly placed ball. And I'm just seeing, did that right foot get down before the left? That right toe. Taylor catches it, and I'm looking at, does that right toe get down before the left foot?
Replay official Todd Evans onside. Referee Adam Savoy has halted play at the moment. Looks like they got enough looks to confirm the call on the field without an official review. Touchdown will stand, and now the 2-point attempt. Double pass, and that was blown up by Jamel Johnson, the Temple transfer. We will have an onside kick coming from Georgia Tech. And now chance of overrated coming down from this homecoming crowd of over 56,000. First time since 2021 that they have hosted
Georgia
a
Tech
top 10 team.
Now 46. 27 is 46.
Matt Schumacher, the 9-year NFL vet, Sam Acho. That time in 2021, Clemson came here and took an L. These fans have been waiting for this moment. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games. How have they done it tonight, Sam
Well,
Acho?
before we get there, Shu, they're chanting overrated, but it's not over yet. This year, going into this week, there's been a 20% conversion rate on these onside kicks, a little bit over 100 kicks, about 19 have been recovered. So it's not over yet. That's a 5% increase from last year.
They will blow that dead. Timeout NC State beforehand.
Timeout NC State. They're first. 30 seconds.
And we also saw earlier in this day, Vanderbilt had an onside kick that they could have, probably you could say should have recovered, but they just batted the ball out of bounds unintentionally, Vanderbilt did. And so this game is not over. If Georgia Tech recovers the onside kick, they have the 2-minute timeout. They still need 2 scores, but we heard Brent Key said, hey, man, we've been here before. This is college football, man. You never know how things like this are going to end.
You better be sure-handed on this hands team for NC State. So after the touchdown and failed 2-point conversion, still a 12-point game, 48-36, 2:22 to go. 2-minute timeout and 1 timeout remains for Georgia Tech. Recovered by NC State. Colson Fields with the recovery.
Please reset the game clock to 2:21. Thank you.
Huge days from C.J. Bailey, the young captain at just 19 years old, and Jaden Duke Scott, who got his chance to shine tonight due to the injury to Hollywood Smothers.
Imagine how mature you have to be ready for a moment like this. Duke Scott has been ready, and he hasn't been the guy. It's been the Hollywood Smothers show, not just for NC State, but for all of the ACC, and now we're seeing Duke shine.
That's going to be a false start.
Offense, number 82, 5-yard penalty, first down.
For NC State, this will be their first win against an FBS opponent since they beat Wake Forest on September 11th, Sam Acho. They came into this day desperate. You talked about the high-powered offense of Pitt. They torched NC State last week, put up 53 points. They've been right there at the half against many of these opponents. Trailed Notre Dame by 2, Duke by 1, ultimately losing in those contests. They put it together in all 4 quarters, injuries and all, against an undefeated team.
Georgia Tech, their third and final, 30 seconds.
And now the final timeout for the Yellow Jackets.
They let it loose. We hear from Dave Doran, one of the quotes of the century. He said, "Scared money don't make money." He said, "Cut it loose. We cannot be reserved. And don't even worry about the scoreboard. Just go out there and have fun." He said, "Nobody expects us to win this game. So we have nothing to prove, nobody to impress. Let's just play our game." And he also said, "Man, I've been a part of a couple upsets myself." So there was a level of confidence that he came in to this game with.
This day has just had one of those feelings, hasn't it? With all the chaos around the sport. But even before the chaos began, Kirk Herbstreit on College Game Day circled this game as a game to watch for a potential stumbling block for Georgia Tech. And he said Dave Doran is usually good for 1 or 2 of these games a year where they shock the world. Tonight is one of those nights. And that carry by Duke Scott will take us to the 2-minute timeout. The Pack faithful are packed in nearest the field to rush on a homecoming victory. Boy, what a wild day of college football, Kevin, and I'm sure that game will follow suit. The nightcap out west, 2 elite quarterbacks in a Big 12 showdown. Meanwhile, a punt upcoming for NC State. Georgia Tech all out of timeouts. We're past the 2-minute timeout. They trail by 12. And the Heisman hopeful Haynes King staring at the first loss of the year for his Yellow Jackets. And it looks like they're going to keep the offense on the field. No punt, says Dave Doran.
Wait and call a timeout. Try to draw Georgia Tech offsides. Wait till 1 second for timeout.
Timeout. NC State, their second, 30 seconds.
Coming into the day, Georgia Tech had a beat on everybody in the ACC, a chance to go a half game up on Virginia. Instead, they will join a group of now 5 one-loss teams, and the Cavaliers, who lost to NC State at the beginning of the year in a non-conference game, by the way, will have the lead in this league.
And it may be a battle for number 2. I'm not assuming, assuming Virginia wins out. All of a sudden, that Georgia Tech versus Pitt game means a whole lot more, because now all of a sudden you'll be talking about tiebreakers within the conference. Both teams would have 1 loss, and they play each other. So Georgia Tech has a couple big ones looming.
Still a path for Tech to make the college football playoff, of course. Winning the ACC title game would automatically put them in, you would think, highest ranked. 5 highest ranked conference champs automatically make the college football playoff. Eric Rivers with a fair catch inside the 15.
And to your point, let's say Georgia Tech does end up with a second loss. Let's say it's to Pitt. Well, beating Georgia could get them back in that conversation for an at-large bid. Remember, it's the 5 highest ranked conference champions. Then there's 7 at-large teams. A win versus Georgia would look great on a resume. And a win versus a Pitt team that, let's say Pitt keeps on winning, that may be another ranked win.
1st and 10 for King. Is he still, Sam Acho, in the conversation for the Heisman despite this loss tonight?
Absolutely. It's really been the defense that has struggled for Georgia Tech. So Haynes King is still in the Heisman conversation, especially with 1 loss.
Tonight, excellent numbers. 4 touchdowns, 2 through the air, 2 on the ground. His 5th 100-yard rushing performance to go along with over 360 yards passing. But the key in this game was field goals instead of touchdowns in the red zone for Georgia Tech. And NC State's defense was bend don't break tonight. Despite all the injuries, they held up against the Georgia Tech offense that looked unstoppable last week against Syracuse.
Football has a 100% injury rate. Everyone's going to be injured or hurt one time or another. So when we talked with Dave Doran, he said no one cares that we're hurt. We have an opportunity to lay it all out there, and that's what we saw this NC State team do. They've been through so much adversity, not just on the field, but off the field, injuries and more than that. So this is a monumental win for NC State.
The last time a top 10 team came to Carter Finley was in 2021. Clemson came on the road and took a loss at the hands of the Wolfpack. What a catch. Diving grab by Brett Seither, rather. Dave Doran's just ready for this clock to hit quadruple zeros.
It's about finishing as well. The winning is great, but how you win matters. How you lose matters. You want to finish as an athlete. Give it everything you have. You don't want busted assignments on either side of the ball. So that's why I see Dave Doran showing some frustration.
And what a night for his young quarterback, C.J. Bailey. Biggest start of his career. 340 yards and 3 touchdowns. Haynes King to the end zone. It is intercepted. Caden Fordham. And here they come. Pack with the upset.
We just avoided the field storm as chaos ensues. Coach, this team has been tested on and off the field this season. A top 10 team comes to your house and you get the win on homecoming night. What does it mean?
Well, first I want to give God all the glory. And I'm so proud of our players and coaches. They deserve this. They've worked really hard. No matter what, they just came in, they let me coach them. They hung in there. Kids played so good tonight. I'm so proud of them.
As we stand here and take in this scene, it was a sold-out crowd tonight. You were down so many starters tonight. What kind of heart did this one take?
That's all wolf blood right there. That's a big old heart right there. That's the biggest heart you can have. These kids are awesome. I'm so lucky to coach them. Like I said, I get to every day. It's a beautiful thing when you come up like that. They've worked, they've worked, they've worked, they've listened, they've learned. Huge breakthrough night for us.
Few have a bigger heart than your quarterback, CJ Bailey. We thought he was banged up at the half. He comes out, puts his body on the line for you every drive. What's it like to have a leader like that?
Oh, it means everything. When your quarterback's as tough as CJ Bailey, he's a stud. I love that kid. I thought Duke was so good tonight, too. I mean, what a performance by our running back with Hollywood out. So proud of him.
It's been a heck of a season.
I need to go have some fun, okay? Chancellor Howell, turn on the red light.
I think you've earned it.
Go back.
Guys.
Light in red tonight. You know they will celebrating in Raleigh. His running back, Sam Acho, 196 yards in a career day. CJ Bailey with 340 through the air and 3 touchdowns.
The weekend in college football, another top 10 upset in November. What it's all about.
The second top 10 ACC team to go down today, and Virginia, who lost to NC State week 2, is atop the league at 5-0. How's that for the first Saturday in November? Sam Acho, Taylor Davis, our entire ESPN crew. What a night from Raleigh-Durham. So long from Carter Finley.